Hey everyone, this is Dr. Ryan at Primal Chiropractic and Primal Elite Fitness. In today's video blog, we're going to be talking about knee pain. Just remember with this video blog and our others, this is general advice. So if you do come into our office, we do a lot more of an examination than this, and it's going to be tailored to exactly what you need personally. However, sometimes these videos can help, and if they do, I'm going to keep on making them. So when it comes to knee pain, we want to make sure that you have proper stability and also proper range of motion or flexibility. When you have these two, typically your knee's going to be feeling great. So in order to assess range of motion, I'm just going to talk about 3 little simple tests that you can do at home to see if you have proper range of motion. When it comes to knee flexion, we want to be able to fully bend the knee under load with absolutely no problem. So can you get into a deep squat and touch your hamstring to your calf? Can it rest on each other? If so, this is a great sign. And then we'll add one more element to it. Can you get all the way down while your knees move forward? Your knees should be moving forward the whole entire time until you feel that hamstring make contact with the calf. Now a problem is, as you start to go down, your knees are moving forward, and then you keep going, and then your knees start moving back before you get that contact. That's going to be a bad pattern, and we're going to need to work on that. Secondly is the step down test. So if you find a stair at the house, just anything from about 4 to 6 inches, get your toes to the edge, and with the free leg, you're going to see if you can touch the heel to the floor, and we'll do a couple of reps here. So just being able to do that is a good thing. However, if we see a heavy knee crash going in, or we see the hips hike or dip too much, that's usually a sign of a couple of things. The main thing is typically instability. So your core is weak and your glutes are weak. That's a big thing that controls the knee in proper alignment with the foot and the hip. Or if you have an ankle issue and you run out of range of motion, you usually just have to crash in to keep going down. So we want to be able to walk down stairs with no problem, controlling that knee in alignment with the foot and the hip. That's the step down test. The last one is pretty simple. It's just a lunging test. So can you lunge, keeping those knees in alignment, again, with the foot and the hip, or are you seeing crashing going on? Again, this one is mainly designed to see if you have some core or glute weakness happening. So the next thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to move this camera, I'm going to try to take one continuous take, is flexibility. I'm going to show you a couple of moves to see if you have proper flexibility of the quads and the hamstring. This first one is called the modified Thomas test, and we're evaluating if you have good flexibility of the hip flexors and the quads. So if you lay on your back somewhere at home, you're going to tuck a knee in until you feel your whole entire low back flush into that table. The first thing we're looking at is the hip flexors, which are very high up on the hip. Now, if you're tight through here while you're relaxed, your thigh is going to be elevated like this. We want it to be parallel with the table, and that will tell us our hip flexors are at a great length. The other thing, I'm going to scoot back just so you can see, is we want to make sure our knee angle is at about 90 degrees. If we're tight in the quads and they're over contracted, our knee is going to extend past 90, and this is a very bad or dangerous sign that is going to eventually cause arthritis, patellar tendonitis, possibly lead to ACL tears, ligament issues, etc. So again, while we're here, is our thigh parallel and is our knee at 90? These are big important things to realize. Now the active test is also important to be able to actively contract knee flexion, which is just standing tall. Make sure the pelvis is not overarched like this, otherwise it's going to give us a fake test. And we also want to make sure our thighs stay in perfect alignment with each other. We don't want this thigh lifting forward or going too far back. And you're just going to reach that heel towards your glute, again, without overarching to cheat. And we want to get to about 120 degrees range of motion. If you're below this, again, that's a sign that you're not able to lengthen the quad, which can lead to some knee pain. Lastly, to assess the hamstring, I like the active straight leg test. So for this one, laying on your back, you're going to try your best to keep your knees straight and point your toes at you. And can you get to at least 70 degrees? If you're an athlete or a weekend warrior, we want you pretty close to 90 to prevent injury. So again, if you're getting to below 70 and you're just super tight through the knee, behind the knee, the hamstring behind the knee or the calf, this is a sign that that hamstring or calf needs some lengthening there. I'm going to move the camera again. So next, we're going to discuss some quadricep exercises to really strengthen, and this is going to help strengthen the tendon just in case it's tendon pain, and all this stuff is really going to help bulletproof the knee tremendously. So one of the first things that'll help you, one of the safest I should say, is walking, running, or resistance moving backward. Very, very safe, almost regardless of what you have going on. Something that's pretty effective is a sled, or if you have somebody that wants to sit in a car, you can push a car in neutral, and it helps contract the quad concentrically to help develop strength, and that's over time going to strengthen the tendon and lengthen the muscle nicely. The next progression I will usually give after that is making the step down test an exercise. And you have to start with baby steps. You're not going to be able to go down too low, especially if you have knee pain or you're tight. So if you have a dumbbell, you can get your heel on the dumbbell and just slowly bend that knee and get that front heel to touch and just work on a lot of repetitions and hit both sides. Now, if you want to engage the core a little bit more, which I recommend, anytime that you engage the core, it helps release any tightness throughout the body. You can hold on to a weight, and this will automatically help load the core. Now to progress this, you can find a surface to add that dumbbell to, and now as you can see, I have to get a little bit lower to get that heel to touch. I want to keep proper alignment with that knee over the toes. I'm not crashing in at any time, and this is a nice way to what's called eccentrically load the quad, which is a little bit more effective than the sled or the backward pushing. Next, to restore full knee range of motion, you can get yourself an elevated surface. And again, I like to recommend grabbing a kettlebell to load the core. It's going to help release everything nice. Get a foot on, and you're going to just lunge it forward. And again, try to get that hamstring in contact with the calf to restore that knee ability. Now with the back leg, if you really want to help lengthen the quad or the hip flexor, focus on extending the knee, and you're going to feel a nice active stretch back there. So it's a nice little 2-for-1 that you're doing at the same time, and you can work on repetitions here. Again, it's okay if you can't get there, but just keep trying to progressively get a little farther and farther. To make this a little bit more challenging, just get to a lower surface where you can, again, get that hamstring to the calf, full range of motion, and do some repetitions. And then to make this even harder, just work your way all the way to the floor. One more for the quad is the reverse Nordic curl. This is probably the most advanced of them all, so don't start here. You're going to get yourself into a tall kneeling position. Make sure there's not an overarch of the low back or not over-rounded. Glutes are tight and contracted. And we're going to slowly move back, lengthening the quad, and we're strengthening at the same time. Start again with the baby steps, not too far down. And as you get comfortable, you can start going a little bit lower. Sometimes people like to hold on to something with their upper body to help assist them going down. And eventually you can get all the way down to the ground and back up. So those are some nice quad exercises to strengthen the knee. I'm going to finish with a couple of hamstring movements, and that'll wrap up this series. I'm going to show us two here. So the first one is the single leg deadlift. You have probably heard me talk about this before. And what's nice about this is it's not only working the hamstrings to lengthen them, but we're working the core and the glutes, which is critical on releasing any tightness and restoring the knee pain. So the way that I like to do this is hold on to the kettlebell in the right hand and kick the right leg back. You have to keep a flat or neutral spine in order to stretch the hamstring. So if you ever round, you're slacking the hamstring, this is going to get you nowhere. Just reach that kettlebell down towards the shoe and make sure that you feel that nice stretch. And over time, you're going to lengthen that hamstring, taking a lot of pressure off the joints. One more is the Nordic curl. So this is the opposite of the reverse Nordic. You might have to get to a couch, or if you have some heavy dumbbells, you need something to anchor your feet down. I'm using some heavy dumbbells here. And you're just going to slowly go down until you can't handle it no more. And then you're just going to push yourself back up, and again, contract through the hamstrings to bring yourself back up. This is a very advanced move again. If you need to use a box, something to where you don't have to go all the way to the ground, I would start there and eventually get yourself to the floor. And again, just make sure that you're really working those hamstrings. And this is a nice way to really loosen them up and again, to release the knee joint. So I hope you enjoyed this series. If you tried this stuff out and it helps, great. If not, we do a lot more thorough tests in office and we'd be happy to help you.